Hello, everyone. Today, I want to share a deeply emotional and complex story that explores the intricate dynamics of unethical medical practices, the pursuit of professional success, and the devastating choices. It's the story of Dr. Vikram Singh from Mumbai, India. In the heart of Mumbai, amid the hustle and bustle of one of India's most populous cities, stood the prestigious Oncology Center. It was renowned for its cutting-edge technology, luxurious facilities, and exorbitant fees. It catered to the city's elite and those desperate enough to part with their life savings for a chance at survival. The hospital was a beacon of hope for many, but for Dr. Vikram Singh, it was a fortress of his making, built on deception and greed. Dr. Singh, a highly reputed oncologist, was the face of Oncology Center. Patients and their families revered him, believing his expertise and care could save their loved ones from the dreaded disease of cancer. However, behind this facade of compassion and skill lay a man driven by insatiable greed. Dr. Singh's journey from a promising young doctor to a notorious villain was paved with unethical practices and a ruthless pursuit of wealth. Dr. Singh had a reputation for charging excessively for every test and treatment. A simple blood test that would normally cost a few hundred rupees elsewhere was priced at thousands under his care. Scans such as MRIs and CTs, essential tools in cancer diagnosis, were billed at exorbitant rates. Patients often found themselves in debt, having sold their assets or taken out loans to afford these tests. The financial gains from these excessive charges were substantial. Dr. Singh had a covert financial arrangement with several diagnostic centers across Mumbai. For every scan or test referred by him, these centers would give him a significant share of the costs. This arrangement was mutually beneficial. While the centers enjoyed a steady stream of patients, Dr. Singh's bank accounts swelled with ill-gotten wealth. His lavish lifestyle, from luxury cars to opulent homes, was funded by the suffering of his patients. But Dr. Singh's greed did not stop at overcharging. He frequently diagnosed healthy patients with cancer, preying on their fears and ignorance. Using their desperation as a weapon, he prescribed expensive treatments that were nothing more than placebos. These patients, believing they were fighting for their lives, would endure months of unnecessary treatments, all while paying hefty fees. Dr. Singh's expertise in manipulating medical records and test results made it nearly impossible for patients to suspect foul play. He was careful, ensuring that his deceptions were well hidden behind a veneer of medical jargon and sophisticated technology. This practice not only brought him immense wealth, but also kept the hospital's profit margins soaring. It was a well-oiled machine of exploitation, with Dr. Singh at the helm. Despite his meticulous planning, there were times when patients or their families raised questions or suspected foul play. Dr. Singh was prepared for such eventualities. He had strong connections with local politicians and hired goons who ensured that any dissent was swiftly silenced. If money could not buy their silence, threats and violence would follow. One of the most chilling aspects of Dr. Singh's operations was his willingness to resort to extreme measures. Patients who dared to speak up often found themselves and their families in grave danger. There were instances where dissenters were found dead in mysterious accidents. These incidents, though hushed up, served as a stark warning to others. Fear and intimidation became additional tools in Dr. Singh's arsenal, ensuring that his reign of terror remained unchallenged. One such case was that of Ramesh Gupta, a young man in his mid-30s who came to Lifeline Oncology Center for a routine checkup. Dr. Singh, sensing an opportunity, misdiagnosed Ramesh with an aggressive form of cancer. He prescribed an intense and unnecessary treatment regimen, including chemotherapy and radiation, which led to severe side effects. Ramesh's health deteriorated rapidly, and within a few months, he succumbed to the treatment. Ramesh's grieving family, devastated by his untimely death, began to question the diagnosis and treatment. They discovered discrepancies in the medical records and inconsistencies in the test results. Realizing that something was amiss, they decided to confront Dr. Singh. Their quest for truth was met with a barrage of threats and bribes. When they refused to back down, Dr. Singh unleashed his hired goons on them. The Guptas' relentless pursuit of justice led to a tragic end. Ramesh's father, who had been the most vocal, was brutally beaten and left for dead. His mother was intimidated into silence, her every move monitored by Dr. Singh's enforcers. The remaining family members, fearing for their lives, were forced to leave the city, abandoning their quest for justice. This incident, though hushed up, sowed the seeds of rebellion among other wronged patients. Whispers of Dr. Singh's misdeeds began to circulate, but fear kept most from speaking out. The Gupta's story, however, would not be forgotten. It became a dark legend, a testament to the ruthlessness of Dr. Singh and the helplessness of his victims. Years passed and Dr. Singh's empire continued to grow. His wealth and influence seemed unassailable. However, fate had other plans. One day, during a routine checkup, Dr. Singh was diagnosed with a rare and aggressive form of cancer. The irony was not lost on him. The disease he had falsely diagnosed in others was now his own affliction. As his health deteriorated, Dr. Singh began to suspect that this was no ordinary illness. He became convinced that he was the victim of a curse, a retribution for his years of deceit and cruelty. The once formidable doctor was now a frail patient, enduring the same treatments he had once prescribed to others. But unlike his patients, Dr. Singh found no compassion or mercy in his care. Dr. Singh's diagnosis marked the beginning of his descent into unbearable suffering. The treatments he once prescribed to others were now his own reality. Chemotherapy sessions left him weak and emaciated, his body racked with pain. Unlike the compassion he denied his patients, Dr. Singh found no mercy in his own treatment. His condition worsened, each day bringing new agonies. The once confident and authoritative doctor was now a shadow of his former self. He was haunted by nightmares of the patients he had wronged, their faces a constant reminder of his sins. His body, once strong and imposing, was now frail and vulnerable. Each treatment felt like a punishment, a reminder of the pain he had inflicted on others. As his illness progressed, Dr. Singh found himself increasingly isolated. Former colleagues distanced themselves, unwilling to be associated with his tarnished reputation. The wealth he amassed meant nothing now, as he struggled alone with his pain. His family, aware of his misdeeds, offered little support. The once formidable doctor was reduced to a shell of his former self, haunted by the ghosts of his past. Dr. Singh's once luxurious home became a prison. The opulence that had once brought him joy now felt like a mockery of his suffering. He was surrounded by reminders of his greed and deceit, each piece of furniture and artwork a testament to the lives he had ruined. His only company was the incessant pain and the haunting memories of his victims. Despite his suffering, Dr. Singh attempted to guide his descendants in the ways of his unethical practices. He hoped to instill in them the same ruthless ambition that had driven his success. He believed that his wealth and influence could still protect them, that they could carry on his legacy of deceit. However, his children and grandchildren, aware of the consequences of his actions, rejected his teachings. They had seen the pain and suffering caused by his greed and wanted no part of it. They chose to pursue their medical careers with integrity, refusing to follow in his corrupt footsteps. Dr. Singh's attempts to corrupt the next generation were met with resistance, leaving him even more isolated and bitter. Dr. Singh's final days were marked by excruciating pain and despair. His body, ravaged by cancer, could no longer endure the relentless treatments. As his condition deteriorated beyond recovery, he was left to face the reality of his mortality. The curse he believed had befallen him seemed to tighten its grip, ensuring his suffering was absolute. The once proud and powerful doctor was now a helpless patient, dependent on the care of others. The staff at the hospital, aware of his reputation, treated him with cold professionalism. There was no sympathy or compassion, only the clinical detachment he had once shown his patients. Dr. Singh's life had come full circle, and he was forced to confront the consequences of his actions. In his last moments, Dr. Singh experienced the full weight of his misdeeds. He was tormented by visions of the patients he had wronged, their faces a constant reminder of his sins. His attempts to seek solace in religion and spirituality provided no comfort. He was alone, abandoned by those he once manipulated and deceived. As death approached, Dr. Singh's suffering intensified.